Hey guys, and welcome back to the Aether Hub. I'm, as you know, Simon, bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. So let's get right into it. Dominaria, it's come, it's gone. It feels like we're pushing it out the door early when it's just gotten here, but really, M19 core set is right around the corner and we need to prepare for that. This is the perfect time to go over a quick recap of the Dominaria storyline in anticipation of the next chapter, and follow it up with my personal thoughts and feelings on this set's lore. But first, let's break down the major events that took place in our return to the OG plane, Dominaria. But before that, a plug. Did you know that you, yes, you the fans, govern the content of this channel? That's right, those in the Vorthos army get to suggest and vote on topics that appear as videos on the channel. In the Vorthos army you get loads of perks and exclusives that set you apart. Signed cards, access to our Discord, and behind the scenes progress, just to name a few. Consider joining the Vorthos army today by checking our Patreon link in the video description below. Now, back to the lore. Well, our journey in Dominaria all started out with the Gatewatch getting their butts handed to them on Amonkhet. And you're probably thinking, hey Simon, the previous set was Ixalan, not Amonkhet. How could that be? Well, as Jace went to Ixalan to become a pirate after his encounter with Bolas, the rest of the Gatewatch went to their predetermined rendezvous plane of Dominaria. They were meant to meet a Johnny Goldmane here to find more allies before confronting Bolas. Yeah, probably should have stuck to that plan. So we find Gideon, Chandra, Liliana, and Nissa all defeated and troubled by what they should do next. Liliana, of course, wants to kill her last remaining demon lord, Belzenlok, who conveniently resides on Dominaria. As selfish as that seems, she's convinced it will boost her powers enough to help them kill Bolas next time around. Nissa is unconvinced, however. They had just helped her unwittingly on Amonkhet with another demon lord, and it seemed Liliana was the only one benefiting from this pact. Nissa breaks ties with the Gatewatch and returns to her home of Zendikar, Oath Broken. Chandra also leaves, but not with so much flair. She's off to find more power, the skills to become a better pyromancer to help them fight Bolas, leaving only Liliana and Gideon on Dominaria to kill Belzenlok, which Gideon somehow thinks is a good idea. A soon-to-be ally is also out looking to stop the Cabal led by the demon Belzenlok, Joyra. She finds the remains of the legendary skyship Weatherlight and restores it to its former glory. Joining her on her mission is an angel from the Church of Sarah, given deep engineering knowledge by, well, Sarah probably, named Tiana. They inspect the ship's engine core, a power stone containing the power of a collapsed plane, Sarah's realm, the very reason why the church was interested in the ship at all. Tiana and Joyra are joined by another, less likely ally, Arvad, a former Banalish knight turned into a vampire who seeks some cure or redemption. He's pulled to the Weatherlight by a magical force. The Power Stone itself calls out to him, and Joyra allows his presence as he and Tiana defend the ship from a rogue phoenix attack. Back to Gideon and Liliana, they discover they're in the land of Ves, named after the Necromancer's former house. They discover the Cabal, led by Belzenlok, have corrupted the land and tortured the people here. The honorable knights of Benalia have been pushed back and citizens live in terror. Liliana hears of a lich leading the Cabal in this area, the resurrected form of her brother Jasuves. This is a fragment of Liliana's past she would like to seal away for good. Feeling responsible for the fall of her house and the death of her family, putting her brother to rest is the least she could do. Gideon, Liliana, and a garrison of men lay a trap for the Lich and his forces, tricking the leader to face Liliana one-on-one at the place where he was unearthed, Ves Manor. There, Liliana freed her brother using the power of the Chain Veil. She indeed succeeded, ending that chapter of her life, but in doing so, was weakened. She was no longer able to use the Chain Veil in her fight against Belzenlok. However, it was more personal now than ever before. The demon toyed with her brother, so Belzenlok now needed to pay. Back aboard the newly christened Weatherlight, Joyra seeks a legendary crew for this legendary skyship. She figures bringing the old group back together is a good place to start, although since she ages more slowly than other people and most of them are dead, she had to improvise. She discovered a descendant of the Weatherlight's former captain Sisse, a warrior named Shana. As she also despised the Cabal, she was more than willing to join the crew. Next, she needed a Capuchin, like the hero of old and dear friend, Gerard. She did manage to find a formidable knight, Danitha, but she refused the offer, seeking to protect her own home over adventuring off. Joyra did manage to pick up a young wizard named Raph, however. Raph Capuchin was clearly not their first choice, but his illusions were impressive for his age, so they accepted him in. With this crew assembled, Joyra meets with her contact, Ajani Goldmane, who suggested other allies would meet him here. Ajani gives Joyra much needed news on her friends Karn and Venzer, explaining the details of the new Phyrexians on the plane of Mirrodin and Venzer's death to save Karn. Joyra is sad. They all group up and find Gideon and Liliana regrouping with Ajani as they had promised before they ignored his warnings and went to Amonkhet. Ajani is, of course, disappointed in the Gatewatch who betrayed them, even more so now that they explain that they're staying on Dominaria to kill Belzenlok rather than prepare for another fight with Bolas. Ajani leaves, leaving them another warning to find more allies for the upcoming conflict. Next on their journey, they seek information, traveling to Tolaria West to help the Archmage Joda root out a Cabal spy. They locate the rat and Raph extracts the information they need. The informant gives them details of their ranks and numbers within the stronghold, and divulges the existence of the Black Blade Reforged, an artifact stolen by Belzenlok that has killed an Elder Dragon and sucks the life essence of whatever it cuts. It could kill Belzenlok since Liliana can no longer use the Chain Veil. It's perfect. But getting into the stronghold would be impossible by force. They needed time to sneak in. Time from a time mage. Luckily, there was one close by on Dominaria. The crew finds Teferi, Joyra's old friend and former planeswalker, who sacrificed his spark to save Dominaria from time rifts, exploring old caverns left behind by Urza. He seeks artifacts to help restore his home of Zolfur, which he phased out back when he had the power of a planeswalker. The crew agreed to help him solve the riddle, and in succeeding, gaining a new ally in the fight against the Cabal. The story then switches to Chandra's perspective, the pyromancer who left the Gatewatch to find more power. Turns out she wasn't just lying or afraid. She sensed the presence of the legendary pyromancer Jaya Ballard on Dominaria and went off to secure her tutelage. She grabs Jaya's goggles from the Carol Keep and tracks her target through mountains and valleys, fighting kobolds and eventually landing on the outskirts of the Yavimaya forest. She finds an expedition of sorts, a dig site manned by constructs. Elementals attack the dig site, and the constructs retaliate. Chandra doesn't know which side to take, deciding ultimately to help the metal people as one reached out and protected her from an elemental. After the fight, one of the constructs introduces themselves, and its name is Karn, and he's a planeswalker like her, and he knows exactly where Jaya is. Jaya and Karn are friends, and Jaya was there helping this dig site. That's when Chandra meets Mother Ludi? Yes, the seasoned guide of the Carol Keep where Chandra trained. Chandra just never knew that she was in fact the legendary pyromancer planeswalker Jaya Ballard in disguise. Chandra asks her for help. Jaya says no because Chandra was a jerk to her when she was Mother Ludi. Multani, the avatar of Yavimaya, attacks in an unconscious rage. The Weatherlight appears and picks them all up. Chandra calms Multani with a mantra she learned from Nissa, and in all, it was a pretty good day. Karn, Joyra, and Teferi all reunite on the Weatherlight, all good friends of a bygone age. They discuss many things including the loss of Venzer and Teferi's spark, which Joyra has the power to restore. Although it takes some convincing, Teferi does indeed decide to become a planeswalker once again. They're asked lightly if Karn and Teferi would consider joining the Gatewatch in their fight against Bolas. They don't decide just yet. Karn was digging up the Silex, a powerful weapon he planned to use against the Phyrexians on New Phyrexia, and couldn't promise his time anywhere else just yet. Jace Beleren appears abruptly and randomly to explain to the group what he discovered on Ixalan, that Bolas is at his endgame and it involved Ravnica. They needed to join him and Ajani there right now. The group declines, believing they need to kill Belzenlok first to help Liliana reach her full potential. Jace knows Liliana to be a liar, warns the group, and leaves the Weatherlight. This is the endgame now. They have a plan and they look to achieve their ultimate goal. They grab some disguises and head off to a battlefield on the edge of the stronghold. The group finds that a Thallid, named Slimefoot the Stowaway, had been on their ship this entire time. The Thallid had learned much about them as it developed and was very friendly. Seeing the Weatherlight as its home, the crew welcomes it among them. Liliana goes forward and raises the forgotten dead of the battlefield to prepare for the assault on the stronghold. Chandra, Teferi, and Gideon sneak their way into the stronghold disguised and using a slow time bubble created by Teferi. Gideon and Chandra find themselves fighting in the Cabal arenas, all for Belzenlocke's amusement, buying time for the Weatherlight's distraction to begin. The Weatherlight, however, is tied up in a fight with Yargle. The gigantic horde grabs the ship and pulls it to the ground. The crew can barely hold on, let alone fight back. Luckily, Slimefoot is there to save the day, talking to the native Thallid of Urborg and summoning the essence of Yavimaya, the elemental known as Muldrotha the Gravetide. As the giants clash, the Weatherlight breaks free and begins its assault on the stronghold. Finally, with the distraction at hand, Chandra and Gideon make their way to the treasure room to find the Black Blade reforged. The Weatherlight contends with the Dark Urgoros, the Empty One, as Liliana and Gideon face off with the final boss, Belzenlocke. You'd think Belzenlocke would be a challenge, but hey, the Gatewatch have gotten pretty good at slaying demon lords. Gideon cuts Belzenlocke ever so slightly, and Liliana uses the Black Blade to suck Belzenlocke to nothing more than a husk, freeing her from her contract and setting Dominaria free of the Cabal's influence. As the story winds down, we find that Teferi does indeed take the oath of the Gatewatch. Joyra and her crew fly off to round up the rest of the Cabal holdouts, and the Gatewatch, joined by Karn and Jaya Ballard, are heading off to Ravnica to meet with Ajani and Jace to face Nicol Bolas yet again. Sadly, Liliana does not make the trip. The group feels that she's changed, but Jace thinks differently, and it appears he may be right. But in reality, her planeswalk to Ravnica was stopped by Bolas himself. The contract over her soul had defaulted to Bolas since their demon lords were dead. He controlled her now. Rather than dying in vain, Liliana joins Bolas as everyone prepares for the final confrontation on Ravnica. Whew! And there you go, guys, a quick recap of the story on Dominaria as we prepare to head into Magic Core 19 lore and Ravnica itself. The final showdown with Nicol Bolas. What did you guys think about this story overall? Did it live up to your hype, knowing how important Dominaria is to the overall story of MTG? Let me know in the comment section below. My own thoughts will follow in another video, and let me tell you, they may be controversial. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave it a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share it across the multiverse. You should also check out our Patreon page linked in the description below. Joining the Vorthos army gives you access to perks and exclusive content rewards, including a spot in our end credits. Check out all that great stuff happening and join the Vorthos army today. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time here on the Aether Hub.